All right, away we go. It is the Nightcap right here on BetJournal.com, brought to you as always by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% on your order. They are open Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Get yourself some tendies, some chicken dippers. Get yourself some fried chicken and some great sides. And some great apps, fried pickles, deviled eggs, lots of good stuff at Galactic Fried Chicken for you to have a wonderful dinner or lunch with your family. All right, let's get going, Aaron. There's not a whole lot going on tonight in terms of things to talk about. I thought about we could do this show, Luke Fickell becoming the winningest head coach in program history, but Ryan Royer nailed it tonight. Like, one of the reasons you have a guy like Ryan Royer on your podcast as a regular is to get perspective like he provided on why Luke Fickell is great.
Yeah.
We cannot recreate that here.
No.
It was his own segment. It was like 20, 30 minutes with heavy influence from someone that, hey, it's okay, buddy. Tiger's getting upset that his mom is not home. And I think he probably has to go to the bathroom after our marathon 2-hour and 20-minute podcast and then jumping into this. We'll go in a minute, buddy, okay? Go lay down. It's going to be okay. So something that's been kind of sticking with me, Aaron, as for whatever reason, when people are upset watching games or when people feel that things aren't meeting their needs and expectations, they show up in my mentions. They show up very angry. And something that I've seen a lot is that this team's not ready for the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
This team's just whatever we're doing right now. That's not going to work in the Big 12. Well, maybe you're right, but right now we have no idea whether you're right or not, and I don't know that it's worth. I guess here's my thing in this topic, Aaron. Why not just worry about closing out where they're at right now, which winning another American Athletic Conference championship,
mm-hmm.
playing in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else they haven't accomplished yet?
Winning a New Year's Six Bowl?
Winning a New Year's Six Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually probably, if they can get this done, get to the American Conference Championship, win, go to a New Year's Six Bowl, they're going to be in a much different situation than they've been since Virginia Tech. Like, that was a pretty even matchup between Cincinnati and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech played better that day. Tyrod Taylor was really good. Tony Pike didn't have his best day. The Florida game, they were never going to win that game. Georgia, they should have won that game, but they didn't. Alabama, it speaks for itself. You get into the Cotton Bowl this year with an at-large, the G5 spot. You're probably going to be in a game that's a lot more conducive to you. You're not going to be playing against a juggernaut of a program. Or, like the Georgia game, those are the two teams, basically the two best teams that didn't make the playoff in 2020. Why are we in a situation as a society where we just can't enjoy the ride? Like, that bothers me.
Because it's always, what's next?
Well, this is next, right? Isn't this next?
Obviously, people, I think I can speak for the fan base, generally speaking. that people are over the AAC. Why do you think I just loathe and detest Sunday nights?
Why do you think we joke with you about Sunday nights?
It's so funny.
To us, it is.
Yeah, I know. Until you're strapped to the driver's seat with no way out.
Toonsis the driving cat. You're Toonsis the driving cat.
But
can somebody get me a meme of Aaron's face over Toonsis the driving cat?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Toonsis the driving cat is?
No.
It's an old Saturday Night Live thing where there's this cat that drives a car, and it's a cat that drives a car so it can't drive. And every week it just drives the car off a cliff and crashes and burns, and everybody in the car
That's
dies.
the AAC recap in a nutshell.
That's why I brought it up. You are Toonsis the driving cat.
But I mean, I can understand where we're over this conference. We want to play teams where people care about what Cincinnati's doing. And when you're lining up against Temple, Navy.
Well, they haven't lined up against Temple or Navy.
Not yet. But those games are coming.
Yeah, they are.
They're still on the horizon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, even the likes of Tulsa and SMU, like how many people actually cared about that game? I'm sure the ratings would tell you the entire story there. I mean, it's different when you know that the Big 12 is literally 8 months away, less than 7 months and 7 days, but who's counting?
But here's the thing. There's multiple good teams in the Big 12. It's not like you're going into the SEC West, right? Like it's not like weekly it's going to be Alabama and Texas A&M. And
compared to where you've been, it is though, right?
I think that is what people are assuming. But what we're going to get in reality are just more teams that are very similar to UC. Now, yes. That is going to mean more losses.
Yeah.
Inherently. I think that's what people are like. Are we really to a point as a fan base that like, because Luke has put us in a position where wins are normalized, right? Like he's what? 50, he's got 54 wins now. So he's 50 and 8 or whatever it is over the last 5 years, 4.5, 4+ years, whatever it is. If you take out the 4 and 8 year, people are afraid of the reality of we wanted this. That's what everybody wanted. They wanted a chance to step up and test themselves against the biggest stage that UC could get themselves to. Well, I guess my thought process is when you look at the Big East, once Cincinnati got acclimated and adjusted to the Big East, they were one of the top teams in the Big East every year. And that was even with Butch Jones as the head coach. So, do you believe in what Luke Fickell's building or not? Or do you just worry about things to worry about things?
Well, that's social media at this
I know.
day and age.
I know, but we have a YouTube show. Guess what YouTube is? Video social media.
Sure.
So I think it's a fair place to talk about it.
I don't know. I guess I understand to an extent, like people getting in their feels about, again, I think it comes down to we're tired of seeing a win against South Florida.
Well, what if we rejoiced? Last time we had to play Tulsa. Last time we had to play SMU. Last time we had to play South Florida.
But you know that these wins are being marginalized because they are not against good teams, and so you cannot really vault your way into the conversation after losing one game, right? Like that's one game and you're out. There's no way to get back in because you don't have that.
We talked about that
right, but the
entire offseason.
When you're asking why people can't be happy with the now, it's because the now can't get you to where we were last year. You had to have a perfect season and had to have every other domino fall exactly the way it did in order to get there. It had never been done prior to, and I guess with there being an expansion of the playoff,
it's going to happen.
We might see it again. But
my point being, we knew, even with beating Arkansas, we knew what was possible with Arkansas, right?
We were still probably going to be left out.
And Indiana stunk because we knew Indiana was going to be bad.
Yeah.
They just lost to Rutgers. UC wasn't getting into the playoff at 13-0 with this team. It wasn't happening. And this team is pretty much exactly what we believed it was going to be through the bye week and the week after the bye week. Now, I would be more apt to buy into, as opposed to like, this isn't going to work in the Big 12, to this team better figure some shit out before they go to the bounce house on Saturday.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
a home game with a Tulane team that beat Kansas State, who's one of the better teams in the Big 12, and has put themselves in position. If you lose to UCF on the road, there's a chance you play Tulane,
who's ranked well above you.
It might not make the AAC championship game. So I guess my annoyance, or like, what are we doing here? There's a an ECU coming to Cincinnati.
They just put a thumping on UCF.
I think at NIP, like, that should not be a major problem. But we saw USF give Cincinnati a hell of a fight at NIP. Last year, we saw Tulsa get 8 snaps in goal line situation with a chance to tie that game. They're not invincible in the NIP.
No.
They've done a great job of winning those games. Like, is that Luke Fickell's, to talk about Luke Fickell, is that Luke Fickell's team's best quality?
Winning at
finding
home?
a way? No, finding a way to win when you probably didn't play well enough to win.
He does always, not always, but
almost. Well,
of the last 3 years.
The Georgia game, I would say they played better than Georgia and found a way to lose.
Yeah.
That is not something that's happened very often in the last 5 years.
No.
Alabama was a better football team.
Without question.
Memphis, given the situation with Dez being hurt, Ben getting his first start, then Dez trying to come back. Even then, they were still within 1 score in both of those games. But they were never, like, in control of either of those games, I wouldn't say. What they've done a good job of is getting control and then hanging on, I guess, it would be the right way to put it, right?
Well, and since then, I think they've also...
There's been a lot of hanging on in the past 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, since then, they've also done a really good job of recruiting and a really good job of developing, and you've built better teams, plain and simple.
Yeah.
I mean, Dante Corleone coming off the bench as PFF's highest-ranked highest-ranked defensive player
in the country.
All of college football. Pretty good, redshirt sophomore.
Just like we all expect. And he's tied with somebody for first. And then 1/10 of a point behind him is Ivan Pace, who is essentially tied for the 3rd best player in all of college football.
It's pretty good.
Defensively. I just, like, I get the game day angst. I get the anxiety and like the live and die with your team that happens. But again, this program right now is on a magical 5-year run. Magical.
And who knows what the Big 12 looks like once you're actually in.
Maybe they go in there and they hang every year in the top 3 of that conference.
Maybe, but even then, you're still losing top 3 if you're at 3.
2-3 games, yeah,
potentially. But every week, you're still working your way up the ladder a little bit more than you're doing right now.
I agree. Like I understand to a point why people are so worried about. Well, if Ben throws that pass in the Big 12, this team's dead.
Ben might not even be here. Who knows?
Right. Like
he might be playing on Sundays.
Right. Like, don't let yourself get caught up in something that might happen 3 years from now, or might happen next year, or might happen 5 years from now. Enjoy where they're at. Let's see where this particular ride takes us. Let's start a basketball season in 2 weeks. See where that particular ride takes us, right?
And then get on till July 1st.
And then when we get to April, then we'll start talking plenty about, and we'll start having John Kurtz, and we'll start having the guys from Baylor.
Not real sure what's happening with Chad's internet. If it's mine, if it's his.
No, it's me.
All right.
For some reason, I don't know. I just got a notification. I'm at 1 bar, even though I'm hardwired.
But yeah, we'll have all those guys on. Kurtz, the Baylor guys,
the Sikkim guys. Like we'll get to a point where we're going to talk about the Big 12 all the time. Right now, let's just ride the wave. See what happens as we get to December and January in football, and as we get to March in basketball. And when that's all said and done and wrapped up in a little nice bow, it'll be time for spring football. And it'll be time to focus on Cincinnati being a Big 12 team. That's a wrap. We'll see you tomorrow night. It's the Nightcap. Brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!